Funding for this project and product was supported in part by the Virginia Board of People with Disabilities under grant number 2401, Virginia SCDD from the U.S. Administration for Community Living, Department of Health and Human Services, Washington, D.C. Grantees undertaking projects with government sponsorship are encouraged to express freely their findings and conclusion, points of view, or opinions do not therefore necessarily official HCL policy.
We are on Facebook Live and YouTube Live.
Bienvenida, Majo. Bienvenida a Bienvenidos.
Thank you, Majo Flores, for being here tonight. She is the Frank Trippet Advocacy Outreach Fellow. She is from Northern Virginia, and she's been with the ARC of Northern Virginia for 2 years. She is a Guatemalan nationality, is her, just her family and her are from Guatemala, and she is in charge of all the Spanish outreach and material and webinar facilitation for the ARC of Northern Virginia, and she is also translating for families and supporting them in Spanish and facilitating many webinars that are critical to our families and communities. I have the pleasure of presenting Majo's, she's amazing and has been dedicated to educating our communities on all the important topics related to disability benefits. Thank you.
Bienvenida, bienvenidos.
Muchas gracias. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate the invitation, the opportunity to join this very important topic that we're going to be sharing today. I'm so happy to be here with you all, and I'm looking forward to sharing and learning and connecting together. Thank you so much. Should I go ahead and share the presentation now? Okay. Okay. So today we're going to be speaking, I'm going to be sharing information with you about the basics of Virginia's Medicaid waiver system. I have a lot of information today to share, so I'm very excited for this opportunity. You know, we were speaking with Lorena earlier, and what matters is for everyone to be informed. I'm going to be sharing a lot of information, different names for waivers and all of that, but you know, nothing to be intimidated about. We're here to learn, we're here to ask questions, and we're here to just grow together. Okay, so here's a little bit of information about what the ARC of Northern Virginia does. We serve individuals with disabilities and their families in the Northern Virginia area, especially covering the areas of Fairfax County, Arlington, Loudoun County, City of Alexandria, City of Falls Church, and City of Fairfax. The work that we do is providing advocacy, sharing all the information that we have. We have a resource library that contains a lot of information in English and in Spanish. We provide referrals. We handle all this case management for the DD waivers, provide services of public guardianship of last resort, and special needs trust, and tech for independent living. It's a lot of information that we do, and this is this presentation is just a little bit of what we do, and mostly what we need to do in order to obtain benefits with Medicaid. Okay, so for today, our plan is to understand, to share the information about understanding Medicaid waivers. It's basic information. We're gonna try to go deep into each of them, but again, we will have enough time to just speak generally about what these waivers are. Also eligibility, waiver services, the application process for them, and waiting list information. That's what we're gonna be covering today. Okay, so to begin, what's the purpose and description of the waivers? when you hear the word waivers, sometimes it can be, you know, like a very confusing. What does that mean? What is a Medicaid waiver? So here is just a small description of what this is. Waiver, it's a program. This is general information. Waiver is a program that allows states to use Medicaid funds to provide services for people with disabilities. That's specifically what a Medicaid waiver is, but it's a program, okay? And the beginning or the origin of the word Medicaid is, as we know or as we are familiar with, it's a health insurance and a payer of service for the waiver. So it's the insurance that is in charge of paying for this service. And waiver, it's long-term care, or it is used to receive long-term care services for a small part of Medicaid population. In this case, we're specifically talking about people with disabilities. That's what we're referring to. That's what is like very specific or very small part of the population. So Medicaid waiver includes insurance plus long-term care. And what do we think it's called? A waiver, you know, when we're speaking about Medicaid. And it's a waiver because it is an adjustment to standard Medicaid rules. Is that we have the rule and this is the exception. Okay, and why it is important to look at waivers. And this is really important to know. Because through waivers that we have, I'm going to be speaking of two of them, two that we have in Virginia. Waivers offer a menu of services, a lot of services that are designed to be, it's kind of like like shopping. You know, we have like specific services that we can receive through them for most people, even with a wide range of needs. And this also helps with lifelong support. We have different type of individuals with different type of disabilities. Some of them might be physical, some of them might be developmental disabilities. And the waivers will provide services that these people specifically need for their specific needs. These waivers are through only public funding stream for ongoing support services, and they can be free or sometimes they can be at a very low cost for the individual with a disability. But they are great. This is like you know, something that we really, really need to take advantage of because the government provides for them, and why not using them when we have the right to, and when we have someone, a loved one, or someone that we know that might need a waiver. Okay, so specifically in the area of Virginia, we have two types of waivers. The first one is called DD waiver. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's just DD waiver are the initials, and it refers to developmental disabilities waiver. And number two, it's called CCC plus waiver, which stands for Commonwealth Coordinated Care Plus waiver. Those are the two types of waivers that we have. And here you can see the circle has like the orange area specifically is referred to the DD waivers. So again, we have two. We have DD waivers and the CC plus. CC plus will be the blue one, and DD waivers can be divided into three different categories. And number one is community living. You will see the initial CL. That applies for, it's applied to individuals with high support needs. Second one, FIS, is for family and individual supports for people with moderate needs. And third one, it's building independence, or BI, and it's for lower need adults. So those are the three that are part of the DD waiver. And these three that you see in the orange color, they share the same application, same eligibility process, same waiting list, specific services that applies to the three of them, and support coordinators. And then we have our number 2, which is the Commonwealth Coordinated Care, CCC+. So those are the 2. Okay, now we can see here, this is just general information about how we can compare them. So we have the orange one, the DD waivers, which they basically need a DD diagnosis, which is the developmental disability diagnosis. CC plus waiver, we also need a diagnosis. It refers a lot to medical needs. You know, an individual who needs help eating or going to the bathroom. It's more like a physical need. Let's think of someone, for example, with cerebral palsy that might have trouble getting the spoon, being fed, and like very specific mentally and physical needs. That's what the CC plus waiver is. Then we have the DD waiver, and that provides services about employment and residential services. We will get those services through this type of waiver. Then the CCC plus waiver, it has a little bit of like a less services, and it refers mostly to home care and some nursing that the individual might need. And a very interesting difference here is also that the DD waivers, you can receive through this waiver 24/7 support based on the need that the individual has. Whereas CC plus waiver, it has a limit. It's 56-hour weekly cap on personal care. DD waivers, they need case management. CCC plus waivers, they do not need case management. And since the CCC plus waiver is for an individual who has a very physical need, they don't have wait list. Usually, you know, it depends, but usually there is no wait list for them. Whereas the DD waiver, there's a long list that we're gonna be seeing in a little bit how we're gonna manage that list. Okay, now this is very important too, because we need to know, you know, sometimes well, a long time ago, when people were trying to apply for waivers, it was somehow easier to be approved to them. Now, I believe because the amount of people with disabilities has grown a lot, the eligibility, this government offices can be very, very particular. And sometimes, even though you have a disability, they might deny the waiver. Sometimes you have a lot, like all the requirements, and they still deny it. But they are really, really, I don't know, it's been getting really hard for people to get their waivers approved, and it's up to the institution who's reviewing the application. There is not really a reason why sometimes those waivers, unfortunately, are denied. So let's see here. So for the eligibility, we have 3 parts here, and this is the 3 criteria. And it's the diagnosis, functional need, and financial eligibility. So you have to have all these requirements in order to be eligible for this type of waivers. And right now we're speaking just like general information for both the DD and the CCC plus. In the case of a diagnosis, as I shared before, the individual needs to have a diagnosis by the doctor, pediatrician, psychiatrist, any type of doctor, but there has to be a diagnosis in writing that the person has developmental disability or specific disability, which make him or her qualified for this waiver. It's similar for both, for DD and CCC plus. Then the second one is functional need, which is an assessment. Then let me share here this part. Okay, we have here the initial VIDES, VIDES. That's for DD waiver. And this refers to a Virginia Independent Clinical Assessment Program, which is basically this checks or reviews if someone qualifies for waiver services based on their medical or developmental needs. It's basically a test, both of them. UAI for CCC plus, same thing. It's Commonwealth Coordinated Care plus waiver. And this these are basically tests done by the institutions that are in charge of this, and they have to screen. It's basically kind of like a screening tool used in Virginia to determine eligibility for certain Medicaid waivers. You know, either is the CCC plus or the DD waiver. Then the third category is the financial eligibility, and it's income and assets. Similar for both waivers, but a little bit different in flexibility. There's a maximum monthly income that people need to have in order to qualify. If you don't have that, you lose it, but I'll explain later all these different criteria with more details.
And this will be also wanted to communicate that all the presentation, PowerPoints, and the webinar recordings will be located on our ECMV Bienvenidos Todos project page. I've included the link in the chat.
Okay, is this better now?
Yes.
You don't see me anymore? Okay, good.
We see you,
Thank
but we see you on the side without being in front of the presentation.
Okay, good. Thank you for telling me. Okay, so we have the three criteria, went through them, and then I'm going to go into little detail, you know, what this means here. And also this, for example, in the area of the functional need, the assessment, that's usually coordinated by the CSB or the Behavioral Health Authority. You know, those are the institutions that are in charge of coordinating this assessments just to determine if you qualify or your loved one qualifies to any of these waivers. Okay, so okay, let me go back here. So first we are in diagnosis. That's testing. Okay, so I'm gonna start speaking about this right now. The diagnostic eligibility, specifically for the DD waiver, and they have to also check IQ score and all this. You can see here that a developmental disability means severe chronic disability for an individual. This can refer to mental, physical impairment, combination of both, or sole diagnosis of mental illness. This has to be manifested before the individual reaches 22 years of age. And this has to be, it has to be likely that this disability or mental impairment continues indefinitely. And also, this is when it becomes really, really specific. And that's when, you know, some people apply and some applications might be denied because they're like really specific. Like this has to have functional limitations in 3 or more of the following areas, which can be self-care, receptive or expressive language, learning, mobility, self-direction, capacity of independent living, or economic self-sufficiency. And this can be also affect the needs of the individual, you know, to receive individualized supports or other forms of assistance that are usually, or well, they have to be lifelong or extended duration, or 2 or 3 are individually planned and coordinated. And this is very specific, as you guys can see that they have to, this requirement has to be completed in order to qualify for the DD diagnosis. This is just the first criteria. Now we are in the diagnostic eligibility for the CCC plus. Very similar, but these individuals have significant medical needs. As I'm saying, someone who needs assistance with feeding or changing, going to the bathroom. It's a very, very specific and big medical need that the individual can really be by himself or herself, or definitely cannot take care of himself. And this criteria used to determine eligibility is, the kind of like the nursing home criteria. And here's the link for that information for the self-assessments to the assessment to determine possible eligibility. You can see here in the screen, again, very specific in order to qualify for this diagnosis, eligibility. Then number 2, remember the other screen had a diagnosis, then functional eligibility. So first one was diagnosis, then second is the functional eligibility. And for the DD waivers or the disability waivers, all the individuals must show functional need in 3 out of 8 categories on the Virginia individual developmental disabilities eligibility. And again, that's the one that I told you that is a common community service board, CSB, sorry, the one who determines this. Sorry, I'm too excited sharing all this information, and I tend to speak really, really fast. So
You're doing awesome. Thank you.
so the categories include health status, communication, personal self-care, behavior, and they have to meet 3 out of these 8 categories in order to qualify for functional eligibility. Then we have the CCC plus waiver, and in this case, the individuals must meet the nursing facility eligibility based on the UAI. We have a link there too that you guys can take a look at. And it's basically, this is like focused on personal care and medical care needs in order to qualify for this. Then we have the third criteria, is the financial one. So remember, we have diagnosis, functional, then financial. So in this case, we can see this presentation was prepared this year. So the numbers that we see are up to date. And in this case, waiver rules are not like regular Medicaid rules. This is slightly different. We have to really pay attention to this because in order to receive or qualify to a waiver or keep receiving this waiver and the services that come with them, there has to be a limit of money. This refers usually to the income that the person is supposed to have. And we can see here $2,901 per month as a total income. When we have children, there's no limit for them because, that's not considered since they don't work or they don't receive a specific income for them. But we also have family income and resources are not counting with waiver eligibility, which is great because, when you have, like, we have the person with the disability, you can receive all the money that you receive is counted because this institutions and these government institutions are always making sure that people are not receiving the specific amount of money, otherwise they stop receiving services through the waiver. And that can be a little bit tricky, but I'm gonna give you guys some information and a little bit about how we can protect our income in our waiver one from another. Okay, so in this case, our office, the ARC of Northern Virginia, we also have the Department of Special Needs Trust. This is a different topic and it's a lot of information here too, but this is just an idea of how we can protect our waiver. In this case, anyone can apply for a special needs trust, right? If you have a loved one or if you have a developmental disability, you can qualify for a special needs trust. And what is this so important? Because the special needs trust is going to protect you from, in your waiver. It's going to protect your income and it's going to protect you from like institutions, government, and everything that are trying to take away the waiver, because you can have as much money as you can, as you may, and you will be able to still receive the waiver. So for example, here, assets protected for adults applying for public services, waiver will be included, Medicaid is included, Social Security, housing, SNAP, that will be protected if you have a special needs trust. If you are inheriting, or your loved one is receiving money or saving money from property from a loved one who is giving money, that cannot jeopardize the eligibility for the waiver, because that money will be protected in the special needs trust. If we don't have a special needs trust, then we really have to make sure that we do not have in our bank accounts, or the loved one doesn't have more than $2,000, because the waiver then can be lost if the total assets are over $2,000. And they cannot save or inherit money over a total cap, again, of $2,000. So what if the individual is receiving more than? Then they will have to spend the money and, whatever they may need to cover for their needs, but they cannot have more than that. The second, $2,000 and 5 cents or whatever, then there will be a problem, because the government will be looking into that, and they can remove the waiver from you. And we need to make sure to protect our loved ones. And again, we usually said when it comes to special needs trust, that this is an act of love that we do for our loved ones, because we're protecting them, right? We are their voices, we're advocating for them. And if they cannot protect themselves, if they have a disability, that, it's very, very high, and they cannot really be independent. Every individual has different disability. One might be more difficult than the other one. So we're doing all this to protect them. It's an act of love. So our loved ones can have their money, can have their services, and, can be safe from all. Okay, so now we can talk about services. These services through the waivers, they vary by person. Again, every person's need is different. Some people may be using multiple services. Some people may be using less services, and this can also change with time. You have a kid who's receiving all these services, then he turns 18, and then he or she might not receive all the services that they received before. So this is an example. As you can see, the orange one refers to the first DD waiver that we were talking, the community, family, and I forgot the other one, the BI waiver that we have here. That refers to the DD waiver. And we're going to see differences here between DD, again, and CCC plus. So when it comes to residential options, we have the first one, CL waiver, that the services that can be given through this waiver can be group home. This refers, again, I don't know if you remember when I shared the first part, the CL, they're individuals who actually need a lot of support. So they may qualify for a group home or sponsored residential, shared living, or supported living, depending on the need that the individual has. Then we have the next one. Let me read to you exactly what it is here. Okay, so the first one is community living waiver. Then the second one refers to family and individual supports waiver. And then the last one that we have here, specifically the name is for building independence. And the last one, again, is for individuals who may not need a lot of services because they are able to live independently more. They still need, obviously, a residential option, but they can be more independent. Okay, so here we have the family and individual support waiver. They the waiver can provide services like supported living, shared living, not necessarily a group home because the individual doesn't have those needs. And then we have the last waiver, the building independence waiver that has independent living, shared living, again, for individuals who have less needs than others. And then the CCC plus doesn't have anything to do here because I'm going to explain later. Usually the services that are provided for this one are provided at home because the individual has a high need, a very high need. So we will see in a little bit what services we can receive through the CCC Plus. For employment, again, we have the DD waivers here. You can see the differences on the screen. They're very, very similar. Services can be through community engagement, community coaching, group day, supported employment, just so the individuals can receive any type of class or workshop or anything that can help them be more independent and eventually find a job or like a day program that they can be part of. Again, CCC Plus, we don't see that has any of the services because the individual might not be able to work or do something very independent. Then we have the services in our home. Then now we get to see the CCC Plus. You can receive services like personal assistance, respite, environmental MODS, and whereas the DD waiver, they also provide, again, related to the first one, in-home supports, personal assistance, companion care, respite care again, and let's see, yeah, that's the most of the services here that we can receive through this. Then here, the PERS, you guys, I don't know if you're familiar, is the Personal Emergency Response System. So it's basically kind of like medical services that we can receive in our own home. Then we have nursing and related options. Again, the difference, orange is DD waivers and then CCC Plus. For nursing and related options, we will have private duty nursing, skilled nursing, transition services, again, for individuals with high needs. And then we have the DD waiver, which will provide services like therapeutic consults, nursing, private dirty nursing again, and transition services. And these are other services that we can receive through these waivers. You know how technology is great when it comes to someone who doesn't have any disabilities or any needs. So we have a person, a loved one who has developmental disabilities. So technology can be very, very helpful to assist them with their needs. We have phone numbers for crisis support, electronic home-based devices, assistive technology. A lot of great services can be provided for these individuals. Now we have the application process and DD waiting, which can be very, very long. Okay, we have here phone numbers if you guys want to take note. I know Lorena said that this presentation will be in different channels, so you can go back and look at it, take the phone numbers so you can contact your the office that is closer to you. When we apply for the developmental disability waivers, first thing we got to do is call the Community Service Board, the DSB. We have the telephone numbers in our area. Again, Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, Lanham, Prince William too, if you need. And we'll be asked a lot of information over the phone. We will receive an application that we need to complete and then return. Then we will be meeting to do that assessment, BIDES, when they're gonna be making sure that the person really needs to receive the services. And then we are put on the wait list right away. When it comes to the wait list, it can be, you know, sometimes we have little ones and we hear other people saying, yeah, it's been years for us that we have been on the wait list. It doesn't matter. As long as you are on the wait list, that's great because circumstances can change and then you will be moved from priority 3 to priority 2 and then to priority 1. But as long as your name, the name of the loved one is on the waiting list, that's great. That's all that matters. You know, just put the name there and then just wait. all of the DD waivers, all the ones that we mentioned before, the 3 of them, let me see, the community living waiver, the building independence, and the family one, they all have shared waiting lists. The wait time is unpredictable again because it depends on the upon the urgency of the need. Some individuals might have more priority. For example, you can see here we have priority 1, they have priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. So priority 3 is usually when everyone begins, and it's for an individual who's healthy, you know, a kid, stable, well served, but the kid is there and they're on the waiting. We have priority 2. Again, this individual can be moved from 3 to 2 for any circumstance. Something might change. And priority 2 refers to individuals who are stable, but, you know, will benefit from help, or they expect to need help in coming years. So we have a teenager that is going to become an adult soon. So that individual might need help very, very soon, sooner than a 3-year-old. Then we have priority 1. That can be someone who needs services very, very quickly. You know, I have an example. Let's say we have a little kid who's I don't know, like parents both passed away. You know, that kid is going to be immediately moved to priority 1 because the circumstances have changed. I'm not saying that it has to be something this tragic, but the income change or parent lost a job, all these little things, we have to be updating the CSV because then that can make the priority change right away. And then we are not going to be waiting for 10 years, but the individual can start receiving all these services right away or sooner than later. That waiting list is managed by CSVs. Again, that's why we have to be updating them when, if anything has changed. There's the department, the regional waiver slot assignment committee. They're the ones who review the applications when the slots are available. And there should be emergency or reserve waivers. Again, things change, things move, but what matters is that our loved ones are already in, you know, the waiting list. That's what matters. As long as they are there, that's great. That's a great beginning because again, everything can change. Then now we have the CCC plus waiver. So the application, similar, a little bit different in some aspects, but again, we have the telephone number here for the different CSV, you know, depending on the area that you guys live. We call the Department of Social Services for the phone screen. Then we will be meeting a nurse for in-person. This, you know, application can be quick, like the beginning can be really, really fast. And then it's just the waiting time that we have. So then again, second step, we meet the nurse for the in-person screening. If approved right away, because again, CCC plus is for an individual who has high needs. Second, the nurse comes to our home, sees that our loved one has very high needs. You know, they cannot eat, they cannot move, they cannot walk, all these things. It can be approved right away and begin services right away. So that's what, you know, we saw the differences between the CCC plus. In this case, there is no wait list because individuals are all, it's like physically there, it's obvious that they need assistance. So there is no wait list for this. Whereas the DD waiver is more like developmental disability, something mental, you know, that's something in the mind, something autism, you know, things like that, when the individual is not doesn't have a high physical. Okay, and this is what I have here. And again, I'm very excited with this information. And this is what I have for you guys this morning. Here's my email address. Lucy, she's also the person who is in charge of advocacy. You guys can call us, send a message. We can if we don't know the answer, we can put you, you know, in the right place where you can receive the correct information. Again, in our case with the Arc of Northern Virginia, we provide some support when it comes to the DD waivers. However, it's not that you can come to our office and be like, hey, this is my case. This has to go through the CSB again. CSB has different organizations that can help them managing the cases because they receive a lot of applications. And once they are approved, or you know, once they are received and everything, they the ARC receives some of the applications. You know, you might try and say, hey, I would like the ARC to receive my application. And then you have the case manager with us, but that's very, very, very difficult. They are the ones in charge of assigning the cases to all the organization, but we are, you know, providing all the help with the information about what you can do. And again, just doing the first step, which is this, getting the information, calling places, advocating for our loved ones. That's the first step. That's the act of love that we can do. And then everything else, you know, we will find help in the way. We are not alone. But just having the information is very, very important. And I'm so happy that you guys are here. And this is what I have for you guys today.
Thank you so much for this amazing and critical presentation. I wanted to open it up to see if anyone had any questions. Please include them in the chat. This is a very important topic, and we do want, if you know, if we're able to answer a few questions. This is, again, a very big subject and matter, so this is just the beginning of learning about the waivers, and you summed it up really, really well. It says here, is there any data available on how many people already use the waivers within the Commonwealth? This is important information that needs to be shared.
Again, is there any data available? How many people already use the waivers? I mean, we could try getting information through our research library, but sometimes this can be very intimidating, you know, for people just to be like, oh, I need to call. And a lot of people don't apply to these waivers, but I know that there's like a lot of information that of people that do apply, and they're trying to get the services for their loved one. But that's what, you know, this presentation is about, so people don't have to be scared. I mean, the only thing is they need to have the information available, like medical records, all that can support the your application, so you can apply to all this to waivers. That's the only thing we need. And you know, as parents, I also have a little one who I have struggled with, and we are the ones who have to be making the first step. You know, no one else is gonna do it for us. Unfortunately, they're not gonna come to us, so we have to do it. But I think we can check in the library, in our research library, to see more of this information. Again, everything is in English and Spanish, other languages as well, that we can share with others. Let me see, I can find something that we have here. For example, we have that in July 2020, this is the information I'm gonna give. In 2024 and 2025, total of 3,096 new family and the individual support waiver slots, and 344 new community living waivers are planned over these 2 years. So you see, it's not like there are so many. That's what the waiting list, at least for the DD waiver, can be very, very long. And also the process and the wait list can be, you know, but again, as long as the person is already on the list, as long as you make the call, the nurse comes and does the assessment, that's what matters. And your kid, your adult, you know, your teenager, they can be already there, and then things will move depending on the case. Yeah, I see here that one of my sons has the DD waiver, and he has on the wait list for 10 years. Yeah. Yep. It's just that list can be, it's, you know, it can take a long time. But again, let's not be discouraged by this, because our circumstances can change, and then kid can be put into priority list, and then they will start receiving the services. But I understand it does take a long time for everyone, for anyone to start receiving the services, specifically from the DD waiver. People in priority one, they receive the services first, but some people, they do have to wait for years. And Virginia adds new waiver slots each year, but the demand is really, really high. Yeah, and again, this is the point of the seminars, just to remember that we are not alone. It can be very, very discouraging. Like, you know, again, have my kid, my family, we know a lot of people going through this, but we just have to, you know, we cannot give up. We can just do, you know, we can just do one thing at a time, and just those little steps that might feel like, oh, it's gonna take years, that's a step in the right direction. Again, you can also call the CSP from your area, and let me see, and just check, you know, how the waiting list is going, and if anything has moved. That's the only thing that we can do, just keep calling and checking, seeing if any circumstance has changed. That's unfortunately the only thing that we can do with this when it comes to waiting for the DD waiver. Michelle, it says, thank you for this. May I have a chance to answer the prompted questions? Yeah. You can go ahead. That'd be great. That's interesting. She's sharing with us that she has seen progress if a man calls to check on the status instead of a female. That's really interesting, because I know, you know, a lot of women calling that office just to check on them, but I didn't really know that, you know, that could be that could make a difference. But, you know, let's try anything. If we have our husbands, our partners, our friends, someone who can call and check on the status, that, yeah, whatever works. But I honestly don't know. I'm the one who always makes, you know, the calls in my family. My husband, if he's involved, but usually I'm the one leading. But that will be whatever we have to do. Let's do it. And we could try that. We could try having a male, you know, calling, and see, maybe that can make a difference. Thanks, Michelle, for sharing that. Yeah. She continues sharing that. She's seen, you know, brothers, uncles calling, things move a little faster. So that's great to know. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
I had a quick question. I had wrote it in the chat. Are there any additional information regarding assessments and how to prepare parents for those different types of assessments, whether it's, you know, screening, UAI? I learned a new one today, which was the one that you presented on this. I forgot the name already. Slide or
yeah, all this. Yeah, I know.
is there any additional material on, you know, just giving people?
Yeah, I can try find something in a we do have a lot of information, and again, what it's very, very important is for us to have all our the medical records are key. You know, again, the nurse or whoever they send, they're gonna come, they're gonna check, they're gonna be looking at everything, but all the records, that's what I keep hearing, that all the records since our loved one was little, you know, whatever the evidence that can support our case, that will be great. Medical records from pediatricians or therapists, anything that we have that we can provide when they come to the assessment, that would be great. Because, and also another thing that is very important, sometimes when they come or they call us and they ask information about what needs our loved ones have, it's very important for us to share the information on the worst day that our loved one had. That's the information that we share with all these different institutions. We never share the information of the, oh yeah, my kid, he's okay. Like he can read, he can talk. We share the information of the worst day. It's not that we're lying, obviously. It's like they have to hear what we're going through and what was the worst time, like this time when the kid really refused to go to the bathroom or really refused to eat or had this huge that's the information that we really need to share when we are asked, know the information of a good day, because otherwise they are like, okay, well, this is not that bad, so let's just wait, but I'm gonna see if I can find the information for the assessment, and I'll share it with Lorena if I have anything in writing, that way everyone can receive that material. I will do that today, okay? So as soon as we finish this, I'll try to get the information and I'll share it with you guys. Yeah, that's great. There is some friends here sharing that how important it is to keep all the medical diagnosis, financial, educational testing, anything from school all together. We keep it with us. Everywhere we go, we have backup scans on the computer. That's great. Yeah, that's exactly what we have to do, because again, this year is like last year, everything is just changing, and they're very, very like they really are very, very picky with the applications that they're applying, and that's why it can be very discouraging being denied. But this is the most that we can do. We can just like have all the information, all the medical records, that's us doing our part. Yeah, I like this message from Zoo. So it says, it's important to share that as parents, we feel overwhelmed and that the condition of the person will have in the worst case scenario, and to let them know it's not their fault or that they are not parenting appropriately. Yeah.
Did we miss any questions? I think, did we answer this one? My question was, when you call, is the CC Plus waiver the right program? Sometimes you call and they don't know what you're talking about. I thought the CC Plus waiver, CC Plus name had changed to something else.
Huh. Again, this is the last information that I have here from 2025.
Sorry. So I'm going to repeat the question. My question was, when you call, is the CC Plus waiver the right program?
That's the name that we have, the CCC Plus waiver, Commonwealth Coordinated Care Plus waiver. That's the name that is still called in Virginia. Maybe some changes have been made when it comes to services eligibility, or like provider rates or something like that. But then other than that, that's the name of the waiver. That's the name that is still in Virginia on the website and all of that. That's still the name. Yeah. I love you, better. Thank you. Yeah, it was so happy to be here. I have my hands from my daughter here in the back. I don't know if that's what they're referring to. But yeah, I'm so happy to be with you guys. And again, we are not alone. That's the point of this. It just feels like a little community within the community. But any questions that you guys have, just contact our office. Again, if we don't do whatever you guys need, we will find a way to, guide you through the right program, or the right phone number, or the right email address. That way you guys can receive the all this information, and keep fighting, right, for our loved ones. That's the only thing that we can do. I think that's all we have, Lorena. But
Trying to go through the chat and see if I missed any, but
Okay.
I think that is, and if anybody, we missed a question in the chat, we will send out a repoll. My poll button is giving me a hard time, so I will resend out a poll just to get feedback. But thank you so much for this really valuable presentation. I heard a few comments I've seen a few comments in the chat saying it was one of the best ones that they have received, and I can agree. And we just want to thank everyone for supporting this project. And thank you again, Majo, for being here with
much.
us.
Yeah, it was so good being
With
here.
disabilities.
Thank you, Lorena.
you.
Thank you, everyone. That's awesome. And we're together. Okay, so let's not get
Yes.
discouraged.
All information will be included in our landing page. So please check out I sent the link in the chat, and we will be sending out information for people to follow up. All the webinars will be recorded, and PowerPoints are included in the links with the webinar. And we're also providing fact sheets that support the material that is being presented at each webinar. So thank you again for this amazing presentation, and thank you, the ARC of Northern Virginia, for all that you do to ensure that the material is guaranteed to our families.
Thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much, Majo. And I'll see you tonight en español.
Join us
Nos
and
vemos
share
luego.
the link for tonight